Like, why on the other problems do we not use z-scores and then suddenly we use z-scores? I also had a problem with how to know. So what we're going to talk about Monday, which is sampling distribution of a sample mean. And right now we're doing p-hats, which are the sampling proportions. So how to know when to do means and how to know when to do proportions. So that's the first thing we're going to think about. Is this a mean problem? Or is this a proportion problem? Now, all you've done so far is proportions. Are you going to be able to handle means? Absolutely. But we actually have to know when we see a problem which one they're wanting us to use, which is terribly annoying. Because like the other day with our T example, remember the urine T? I think I turned it into a proportions, like they were filled at 98% capacity. But I bet it was supposed to be left as a means problem where it was like 19.8 ounces versus 20 ounces. So you have to actually pay attention to the problem. I don't believe I did. Okay, so I don't know if your textbook has had this problem and you've just been running into both. To be honest, I could lie and say I've looked at every single one I've assigned you. That would be a lie. So you would have to tell me. Okay, so any problem I'm going to do, I try to do it in 4 parts. So as always in life, if I can draw a picture, because we're relating, well, we're going to check the conditions, but we're relating it back to a good old z-score. So I'm going to draw me a picture. I'm going to then do my z-score. I'm going to probably write some sort of probability statement. Yeah, and I would probably check my conditions back here when I drew my picture. She's right. I probably need to put that step first. Conditions. And then step 4 is, can I come up with an answer? She's right. Maybe I should have 5 steps. Okay, so I wanted to just do at least one of these, and then we'll do some more another day. So let's do number 2, example 2, because I like hobbits. I don't feel like doing trains today. I like hobbits. So they have this problem with some hobbits. And the first thing it says is the proportion of adventurous hobbits in a traditional hobbits community is 8%. So since I see the word proportion, I know this is a proportion problem. And then they tell me 8%. Okay, so 8% of what? Is this P? Is this P hat? Like, what is this? Yeah, because it's talking about the entire population. So my entire traditional hobbit community, that's the whole population. So if they're telling me a percentage, that's the percentage for that population. So that is, yeah, so we're going to say, we're about to find out about a specific sample, and can they be called traditional? Traditional has to be at the 8%. Can this be called traditional or not? Okay, so, goodness. Oh, goodness gracious. Gandalf, yes, we're going Gandalf today. Gandalf randomly selected 200 hobbits from remote forest community and found 12.5% willing to time travel to the 21st century. So they tell us literally our N is 200, and they tell us from our sample, those people were, or those hobbits were 12.5% willing to time travel.
Like, I appreciate them trying to mix it up, but at the same time, this is so extra.
Wasn't it though?
And the book's even worse about it.
Oh yeah.
The book's like trying to throw puns into the titles and stuff.
Oh, I completely agree. I just picked the ones that I like the puns with. Like, I like the Hobbit one, hence why I did it first. Okay, so I'm with Kenzie. I probably should redo my whole order of steps in my life. I probably need to check the conditions first. So, conditions. So, I need to know if N times P is greater than or equal to 10. And then is N times 1 minus B also greater or equal to 10? Well, I've got 200 hobbits, so that's my N. What do I use as my P? Do I? Or do I use the 8? I'm asking. What in our notes? What was the P for? In our formula. Is it a P or is it a P hat? I miswrote. What was it supposed to be? It was a P. Okay, so I get if we don't know a P, we've been throwing in P hat, but the formula itself was really a P. So if we know P, I guess we should plug in P. So 0.08. Now, would it be overkill if we also plugged in the 12.5? Absolutely not. And if I were really confused in life, would I probably do both? Then I just do extra all the time. I'm like, I can do 200 times 0.8. I can do 200 times 0.125. I can do 200 times anything. I got this. Okay, well, I get 16. 16 is definitely greater than or equal to 10. And I get 184, which is also greater than or equal to 10. But also, you're not incompetent. You realize that the sample was 200, so it was supposed to be 16 plus 184 is supposed to add up to 200. But I'm with you. Like, how do we know for sure we were supposed to plug in 0.08? What if we were supposed to plug in the 0.125? I don't think it's going to be a problem in life. As long as it seems like you were trying to check some conditions. What's the overkill? I mean, did I do that correctly? 0.125. It felt right.
Do you want an apple, Miss Hoffman?
I had a banana.
I packed 2.
I will gladly take your apple.
You want a green one or a red one?
I like green. Thank you.
Wash it before you eat it. Don't throw
I
it.
will. Yeah.
The flu is rampant right now.
Yes, I like that a lot.
Do teachers have aesthetics? It's like a teacher aesthetic.
Yes. That's it. It's completely it.
The red one would have been.
Okay, so we checked the conditions, which again, I'm with Shalia. The formula said P, so I was thinking 0.8, 0.92. But you're going to probably want a percentage they give you. If they give you 2 percentages, does it kill us to plug in both? No. I don't see how they could be bad at this.
If one doesn't work, can you just not use it?
So if it fails to meet this condition, so if we got, let's say, less than 16. So let's say we got 9 here, 9 and then 191. Yeah, we would say we're not going any further. Because everything we're doing from here is assuming this is a normal distribution. And so if these conditions aren't met, it's not a normal distribution, everything else we're doing is dumb. Now, if this was a free response question, do I really want Sally to, she checks the conditions fail, and she's just like, screw it, okay, I'm going to leave the rest of this blank. No. She should say the conditions are not met, but if they were, and keep rolling. So I would rather her say, like, if the conditions were met, we would do this. So do I really want her to stop? If it's a free response, no. But in real life, would you stop if the conditions weren't met? Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we need to figure out if this hairy-footed community can be called traditional.
That's racist. They don't all have furry feet.
Oh, I guess, I don't know. They were trying to be cute, Jackson. Getting all mad at everybody. They were trying to be cute. Okay, so let's calculate the standard deviation. And let's do, so it's P, 1 minus P divided by N. So for us, and again, we decided that while that was great, the purple was great, it was a little overkill. The formula says P, so by golly, I'm going to plug in P. So since the formula said P is 0.08, 1 minus P would be 0.92. And my N, my sample is 200. So I need to know what this is. Like a decimal. I think I got 0.19, but who cares? Like, whatever. Okay. Yes.
Would there ever be a question where it could be two populations? Two sample sizes, and do you use the percentage that comes with the sample size?
I would, yeah. So I understand what you're saying. I bet they would break it into two parts then, and do one sample with part A, a different sample with different size part B, and then probably make you compare the two in part C.
Do they make you that? Like, or is it different between parameter and statistic, or design?
Well, again, parameters got to go with population. Sample and statistic go together. So if they say parameter, you need to be thinking big population. Okay.
So do we need to, for A, do we need to find the standard deviation of our, like, with the 12.5 as well?
No, we're gonna leave it this at the moment.
How do we know if that's traditional? Like, I don't understand.
Okay, so traditional is going to be, so what we're going to do is, so we found the standard deviation. We're going to convert this to a z-score, which you're like, why the crap did we convert this to a z-score now? Which, again, while we do the z-score, it takes the whole and gets rid of units so we can compare. So, I actually wrote notes to myself. I swear I actually did come prepared. Why my brain doesn't work 7 on me. So, Samantha was with me. Me and Samantha are cool here. What we don't understand is why we go from here to z-score. And so, Samantha said she's not cool here.
No, I am.
Okay.
You said Samantha's cool here, and she like nodded, and then she like.
Well, she understands where those numbers came from, and she could reproduce them if this was a different problem. She's maybe not on board yet, but so I'm still not even to my 4 parts because I still haven't done a z-score. I haven't drawn a picture. I didn't check conditions. I definitely don't have an answer. Okay, so I'm writing notes to myself. Why do we go from here to a z-score? So we would want to go to a z-score because it takes the whole and gets rid of units so we can compare. Because I don't know about you, but they didn't tell us how many hobbits were in their whole population, the traditional hobbit community. How many hobbits are there? We don't know that number. We don't know the entire population. We know that 8% of whatever that entire population is likes to get out on adventures. And that we have 200 hobbits, and from those 200 selected, we have 12.5% who say they're willing to go on adventures. So, you know, in my gut, can this be called traditional? Well, no, 8 and 12.5 are different percentages, but we know the 12.5 is coming from this 200. We don't know what number this 8% is coming from. 8% of what? That's the issue.
Why can't they choose the same number? The same population number? Same number.
You would think that, but see, that's half the problem in life is if they knew the true population, they knew the true, you know, if this 8% was accurate for the entire population, and so therefore our hobbit community can be called traditional or whatever. If they knew that, then why are we doing this at all? If we knew the population, we would never be doing anything with any samples because we already know the answer. We already know the whole truth. Oh, statistics.
So are we trying to check and see if the mean is the same? Is that
Yes, so what we're going to do is we're going to change to a z-score and see how the z-score is, how far away the z-score is from the normal community. And then we'll see. Let me just check. We're all data how adventurous hobbits can't be fared. Yeah, and then I made a note to myself. Another issue, not only for the fact that we don't know how many are in the actual population, it's kind of hard to compare how adventurous hobbits are. We just have some raw data. Somehow we need to use it. That sounded stupid. It sounded better in my mind. I was making a hobbit joke, but that's okay. Okay, so here's the part where we're going to go to a z-score. And again, the reason we're going to a z-score is because z-scores are unitless. So if you're trying to talk to yourself about why on God's green earth suddenly we're throwing in z-scores, one, you should have known the previous chapters were eventually going to be useful. And two, we're trying to compare stuff, so we need to get rid of the units. So we need to, instead of it being 200 hobbits versus question mark hobbits, we need to take away all units of measure. And z-scores make us unitless by making everything normalized. Okay, so with our z-score, we normally do, so we know we're going to divide by our standard deviation, because it's always been like that. As for our numerator, we're going to take what our community had, the people we polled, which was the 12.5%. And yeah, I get I could change that to point whatever, but if I'm going to leave 12.5 and 8 the same, it doesn't matter. Like I could make it 0.125 minus 0.08, or I could just do 12.5 minus 8. I don't really feel like it would matter. I feel like we'd be saving ourselves a lot of trouble dealing with decimals if we just, I mean, again, we're trying to make things unitless. Those word percentages, we're trying to take away all units. So regardless, as long as we're being consistent, it shouldn't matter. Being consistent meaning you did 12.5 and then you didn't do 0.08. You kept it the same. I got 234 point something. So Miss Compton is retarded, as is life. I'm telling you, she needs to take it on home. But here we are on a Friday trying to do math because we hadn't done math all week. So Kenzie was right, darn her.
Why do you have to change it to 12.5?
That's a great question. Yeah, so I was with you. I wasn't changing it at all. I was going to leave it be. And then when I left it be, you know what I got my calculator? 234.375. Now, does that sound like a normal z-score? Our z-scores are normally between -3 and +3. So maybe I'm a genius and in my head I make that 2.34. I don't know if you're that genius. I'm not today. I have to go back and fix myself. So 0.125 minus 0.08. And so Kenzie was right, darn her. How dare she actually know something from statistics. And I get 2.34. Now again, if you were going to leave it at 12.5 and at 12.5 and 8, and you were just smart enough to make that 2.34, good for you. Okay, so then you're like, okay, Miss Compton, so I've done my z-score. You said that was step 2. Step 1, you said something about drawing a picture. You know I like to draw me a normal curve. That's the ugliest normal curve I think I've ever drawn. It's pretty flat, but it's okay. So we're trying to figure out, could this hairy-footed community really be called traditional? So our traditional communities are obviously going to be at a 0. We are at a 2.34. So would you actually call this hairy-footed community traditional? Considering
the one variable that we tested for?
Yes, based off how far away they are with their z-score of 2.34. So this community is 2.34 standard deviations away from the normal community. And so the answer is
Are you saying normal community or traditional community?
it should be traditional. I don't know why I said normal.
'Cause it's
Or-
normalized.
I guess because it's a normalized, that's why I said normal. If you want to change that to traditional, you can. That would make perfect sense. Duh. Read the problem. You're so smart.
What you say.
And then, I've already made my probability statement in my mind because I've tried to figure this out. So, were we actually a hairy-footed community? So, to be 3 and 4 are going to be done at the same step. Would we be surprised? Could this hairy-footed community really be called traditional? No.
Please answer, Randy.
And you could put no because, and then you could reference the fact that it is so far away from the normal. the 2.34 away with the z-score. I wrote in my notes also no because of how small that's words English mouth. Don't you hate when that happens? You're
Miss Compton,
yes, ma'am.
can we put that Sally Long chick out?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. How did when Louise did this problem the other day, and you rolled with it for some godforsaken reason? So he got these z-scores. How did he get that percentage? That's what we need to look at. So does someone have the formula packet with that last page with the thing done? Or I could always, well, apparently you tried normal CDF and watched it work. Goodbye, Sally. You too. Someone have it and can hand it to me? Oh, God bless you. Don't we have to do one minus? 2, 3, 4. Wait, another 4. Okay, so I looked at my table. I looked at 2.34, and it was 0.9904. But that's due to the area under the curve to the right. Don't we need above that? So the area to the curve to the left. So what would we do? 1 minus? Is that how he got his numbers the other day?
No, because he had the lower end above, like he did 2% lower than and 2% higher than the actual one and found all in between that.
Because there were bounds. You know that's why I love you, right?
I was paying attention really hard on the problem that day.
And no wonder you can't do some of the homework ones then. Okay. Seriously, if it doesn't say, it would just be here old. So that would be 1 minus 0.9904, which would be the 0.0096. I know my words did not come out well, so let me put my words together. Now I understand why y'all are confused.
Not bad news for this content.
Yeah.
It is not hard to confuse you.
Well, you're cool with the poor Samantha, I'm going to pick on her for the rest of the time. Samantha's cool with checking conditions. If the conditions work, she's cool with doing the standard deviation. She's cool with then using the standard deviation to figure out a z-score. It's just how to interpret that z-score and then take it back to the problem at hand that seems to be an issue. So you were good until the purple happened, and then you're like, what the hell? Yes.
She
Okay.
said, the way you said that reminded me of Louise. He always says it like that.
Okay. Okay. I can save the purple what the hell till Monday. I can do that. I can do that. I can stop rambling and I can come back to these on a later date when we've had more time. So, because clearly you need me more than I like. I know you needed me. I just didn't know what for, but now I do. So I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you I know what your homework problems are. What homework problem are you stuck on? Because 2 people have told me 2 different numbers. Is there one you're stuck on and you're mad at and you need an answer or at least me to look at?
I'm not the first one to do it. I just don't know what it's asking for.
So, tell me what problem number.
Number one.
Number 1 in 7.2. Number 1 in 7.1.
Literally the first one.
Okay, so the parameter of interest has to deal with number 1 in the book. Says, is it the stop smoking one? Okay, so the problem said a random sample of 1,000 people. So you knew that was your sample size. Were contacted, signed a card they intended to quit smoking. They were contacted hours later. It turned out that 210, 20% of the sample had not smoked over the past 6 months. Okay, what population were we interested in?
The smokers who signed the card saying that they were wanting to stop.
Okay, so the parameter is then the proportion we wanted. So the proportion we wanted, who signed the card, who actually did quit smoking. So like the percentage they gave you from, well, that's from our specific sample of 1,000. We had 210. So that would be our sample, and our statistic is the 21%. Or the 0.21. But so for us, yeah, we would like to have a 0.21% or like a percentage split with it, but we don't know one. So seriously, parameter issues, I wrote proportion of people who signed card say they would not smoke who actually did quit. So proportion who signed card and actually quit. Okay. 7.1, any other problems from 7.1 homework that you were supposed to work on or you got stuck on?
Did you do number, or how do you get like the graphs for number 11?
Number 11.
So look that back at number 9.
Number 11. Here is what my textbook has, my key has. If I read the problem, it says, make a graph of the population distribution given that there are 3,000 students in the school. It's seriously just supposed to be a yes or no if they did their homework and they didn't do their homework. And then you knew there were 3,000 students in the school. So you seriously just had to have it where they added up to 3,000. And then B is really up to you because it said there are 100. And so you would assume there's even more yeses. But as long as, like, it's about at a 60, it's about at a 40, 60 plus 40 is 100. It's about at a 1,700. It's a little over 1,000. As long as those add up to 3,000, you're fine. It's seriously just your own. It's as long as they add up to the population, and as long as this one adds up to the sample, I can't be mad. Okay, were there any actually from 7.2? Okay, were the 7.2 questions like the one Louise did, where they gave you 2 options normally? Have there been any 7.2 with Z-scores, or no one's gotten that far? Okay, what... Do I need to reduce the assignment?
That would be ideal, but I mean, like I'm just telling you, I got really mad at that first one and nobody could answer my questions. So, like we were debating about it and stuff, but we couldn't.
I keep my key. I've had it under over here for Louise for forever, but I keep it either there or on top there. You are always welcome to look at it. Like it has pictures and stuff. Just find the key. I can gladly reduce the assignment. How would we like it reduced?
Just do some of it for bonus.
It was 1, 2, 3, 5 sections. Show me how many problems to do.
Anybody actually go and grab my 6.5?
As long as you do 5 per section, we'll call it a day. I swear we're gonna have to be on chapter 7 a little while longer.